two a while back. And that review found that in the town of Mendocino, there were very, very little changes. And that review was accepted by the Board of Supervisors. It was a review, and it didn't need, I don't think, Ray, I could be wrong, but I don't think it needed to go to the Coastal Commission because it was a review, and when she did it, there weren't that many changes, so it didn't have to become an update. So my understanding is that if you do a review in the town of Mendocino, or wherever you do it, in Fort Bragg, or the county, and if you find that there haven't been changes, which there really can't be too many changes because there's been no general plan amendments. So if there are no changes, you can do a review, and that review can remain in, I believe, the county. I don't think it needs certification by the Coastal Commission. And the other thing is that I used to follow on the Coastal Commission's website how many updates were being done by other counties and other cities. And they stopped putting that paperwork up on their website, but the last time I looked, probably at least 50% of the cities and counties have not done any updates. And the city of Los Angeles or the county of Los Angeles doesn't even have an LCP. So they're treating us a little bit differently than they're treating the rest of the county. That's all I have, but thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Reed. Others, please step forward and state your name.
Well, I apologize for applauding, but thank you. Several things. Assembly Bill 1295, please look it up. I can't pronounce the name of the person that introduced it. It's D-U-E-N, it's a California. This will stop commissioners from just two commissioners pulling an appeal out of a hat. All right?
Assembly Bill
1295.
Okay, thank you.
Secondly, you should all know about the density issue, and I don't know if Ray has this. I'm going to forward it to him. But just recently, at the end of last month, the legislature found Peter Douglas guilty of reducing densities to the point where it violated the affordable housing element of Title 20. Did you know that? Right.
It's all new to me.
I'm going to forward this to all of you. It turns out that there's an affordable housing element that requires more density. We've already lost several condominium complexes for affordable housing in Gualala because of that rule that was violated. We now have 8 more office complexes to deal with. Regarding support of you supervisors and county government, as you know from my previous talk, I went out to New York. I'm telling you, the national focus is on the California Coastal Commission and the heritage areas back east. They know what's going on out here, and they've pledged that any government entity that wants to try to fight it the way you're talking about, you'll have people supporting you. I will bring people to support you. Lastly, it's funny you mention it, you don't know where half the problems are because once Ray does his job, and I've been to do enough of Ray's hearings now and watch the process occur, what happens afterwards Ray doesn't get to hear about. Oh boy, are we hearing about it. The Property Rights Foundation of Mendocino County, we just finished our form work. We're getting ready to send out 15,000 tell us your stories about what people are going through in the planning process and the state process. I promise you I will share those stories with you and bring them to you. It is much more extensive than I ever expected. I applaud what you're doing. I'm an environmentalist. I want to protect the coast. But what we're going through in Gualala with our school right now is a perfect example of something gone terribly, terribly wrong. And we got $800,000 that we could have spent on your study that we've already spent, with one biological study that found that we could put the school in and then somebody else saying we can't. So this yo-yo ride has got to end, and yes, Mr. Chair, something's got to happen at the legislative level. Thank you very much. I'm glad I waited. This was the best news I could have heard.
Thank you, Mr. Saya.
Just an update on 1295. Tom and I talked about it briefly earlier this week, I guess it was, and it has been amended. Initially, it was something that I think the board would be interested in. It eliminated the opportunity that 2 commissioners could appeal a case to the Coastal Commission. I think that's struck some board members as being a conflict. My opinion is, frankly, I would rather know who the appellants are, because I quite honestly think that the Coastal Commission staff would just set up somebody else to be the appellant, be it the Sierra Club or whomever. That they would still be appealed. It's the Coastal Commission staff that writes the appeal. The commissioner puts their name on it.
Sometimes without the commissioner even knowing it.
Well, I doubt that commissioners from Del Mar are familiar with the issues specifically in some of the cases in Mendocino County. It has morphed into a bill that would require the Coastal Commission to notify the city or county of the basis for the appeal. Frankly, that doesn't do any good. We get that notification when the staff report comes out for the substantial issue hearing. If, however, it's intended to require that the Coastal Commission notify the county before it takes an action, then it has some real value to it. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the intent, and Paul was going to be meeting with our county legislative advocate to see if that's the intent and if we can push that approach.
Supervisor Delbar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, for someone to appeal a project that gets denied or approved, for that matter, by the Planning Commission or the zoning administrator, there's a fee attached to that to appeal to this board. If there was a fee that a state agency that in a state that's strapped for cash, that would eliminate we'll just go find someone else to appeal it, because if they got to come up with a few grand, I doubt they're going to find too many suckers out there. They'll just put their name on an appeal just for the sake of the staff wanting to do so. The commission needs an appeal fee. That would eliminate a lot of these frivolous appeals that just because it doesn't cost anything, what's it hurt? Well, it hurts the applicant that's trying to move forward, and they have to go through more expenses and more time just because someone can make an appeal without any fee attached to it. Put a fee attached to it. The reason why the state that's always strapped for cash can never do that is purely political, and it's not financial. That's got to change too, and that should be part of that bill, and that might be something we could look at asking for.
Okay, other members of the public, please step forward.
Hi, John Bauer again. I watched David put his hand on his head and he's going, oh my gosh, you know, I love what all of you have spoken about this afternoon. And as much as David and I may not agree on certain things, I sure appreciate his view also. It's very important to us. I have 6 applications that I've sent through the Coastal Commission. 2 are now over a year and a half old and still sitting there. 4 others were immaterial amendments, so they actually didn't have any effects to speak of, so they were granted pretty rapidly. Clearly, what you've shown this afternoon is a set of guidelines that's going to drive you and this community and our whole county into dealing with the problems that we all have with the Coastal Commission. I am so frustrated with them inabilities to do anything that are really good things for our communities. It's just scary. So please continue with trying to find legislation. I think that's number 1. Joining with others up and down the coast. And that's whether it be planners, planning commissions, board of supervisors, please join with them. Try to find other active congressmen, assemblymen, whatever, to try to get this straightened out. It's clearly the Coastal Commission is clearly a very powerful commission and has all of our assets at its hands, and it can deny almost anything. As to the cost aspect, if the county